Hi, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome to Live Your Best Life. I have an amazing special guest who I've had the opportunity to go to, I think, a couple of his workshops. I even had a private session with you, Tareth.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely incredible.
Oh,
I find you really, really amazing and balanced. You're not full of ego, which a lot of people, when they can do magic, they become really egotistical. And that part just is just such a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
And I avoided getting known for a long time because I was afraid I was going to become an egotistical idiot, you know?
I know what you mean. I had the same thing in my younger days. I thought, because I saw what can happen, but you've got to stay yourself. Got to be yourself.
Yeah. So I was reading on your bio, and I don't have it in front of me because I want you to share it.
Yeah.
But I was reading things I didn't know about you, that you were being studied as a child as this amazing, incredible healer, even as a very young adult. What happened?
Well, what happened was when I was 5 years old, I became very sick. My kidneys started to bleed and I was rushed into a hospital. And in the hospital, hospitals are a great place to catch diseases, I suppose. I caught rheumatic fever, which is quite a nasty illness. And the thing I remember is an out-of-body experience. I was being resuscitated. I was only 6, but I had my birthday in hospital when I was 6. And then I was back in my bed, very strange feeling. And I don't say I suddenly knew all the stuff, but, I remember seeing the resuscitating me, seeing the nurse and the doctor. And my mother came, my mother came first, my dad came later in that day. And one of the things I'm very blessed with is this, I consider it a blessing. I was born to two parents, very different, who loved each other dearly. My mother was very spiritual, quite psychic, and really knew. My father was a lovely man, but for all spiritual things were totally nonsense. But he wasn't unkind. He wasn't belligerent. He just said what he thought. And then nothing much happened for a little while, except I noticed I could see colours around the nurses and things, or what we would call auras now. But something must have said inside, don't say it. And then I went home, and when I got home, I lived in a very old Victorian house in East London. We had the middle part just rented. And we had a lovely lady downstairs, very elderly, almost like a Sarah grandmother, but I didn't know much about her. She was a friend of the family, but we didn't know each other's history. I could still see these auras. And then I saw spirit. I didn't know. I saw a man who said to me, "You can call me Uncle Fred if you like." And he had a decorator's outfit on, and he chatted to me for about 10 minutes and told me all about himself. And then I went back up to the middle of the house, and I was saying to my mum, and being very open and knowing that even though I was only 6, she could do it. She said, "Well, I'll tell you who that is." She said, she used to call her Nanny. That was Nanny's brother. He got killed in the First World War, but we don't die. We're always there. We always are. And my description of him was absolutely correct. So I had that as a child and saw auras, but what happened was I could feel the presence, what I would now call angelic presence, light presence around me, but it was necessary, and my mother also made that clear. I had to go back to school and just be, because to talk about that at school would not have done any good to me at all. So I only confided in my mum, but she let me do it with people occasionally. I could send healing to people, even at that age, and she'd bring somebody around and it seemed to help them. But it was kept secret from the world,
Yeah.
So that happened. I won't go on and on because there's so many stories, but when I was a teenager, a late teenager, this energy came back, I used to call them my angels, and they came back and said, I could see them in my mind, but it was just like light, but they spoke very clearly and gently to me and said, "Your work is to do spiritual work on this earth. You've elected it, they said you don't live what you live more than once." And gradually over a few years, quietly, they with me brought out the energy, taught me. It was all private inside me until I eventually got to a stage where they said, "Now it's time to go out in the world and we'll make it possible for you." So I started doing things. There was a local little spiritualist church, which is where mediums work, and they let me be a healer there, and it was my first step. And I just worked and worked until I was about 20 and got a reputation and built it, and eventually I just started doing it, and I've done it for the rest of my life.
Wow.
You know, I teach groups. I did used to travel all around the world, but in my older age, I still work in England, well. And I teach, you know, I teach spiritual awakening and development to people, not just healing. Healing is beautiful, but my main interest is everybody has them in, is a soul information in them, which is their real self, and they can bring it out. You know, some people think of it as past lives, which it is partly, but light, they can find that light in them and grow and become part of the community, and we need it on this earth.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And everybody needs to open up to really realize who they truly are.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people won't, but that's not their path. But to help those to line up is amazing. How do you do that?
Well, I agree with you, that statement. People have to want to. But the way, well, it's not just one simple thing, because I hold regular workshops here and Belgium and Denmark, which are partly about awakening, but partly to getting together and doing the energy work, because people have been coming for years. New people can always come, but they've been coming for years, not because they're just always learning new things, but together we can create an energy. But what I do is I take people through the process of, you know, I'm very, because I remember a lot, the things from my past times that I need, I remember. And therefore, the real alchemy, I don't mean the alchemy that you read in books where it's all like magicians doing strange things with cloaks on. Alchemy is transformation of mind and matter, and mind into a higher level. So with different techniques that I've worked with, I get people to gradually awaken that alchemic process in them, the transformation, find the angelic light in them, and in their soul history, things they've learned, and bring them into being in a loving way, and also to learn how to heal the patterns that they've learned from but don't need anymore. Because we've all got things that we can heal away. We don't have to be cursed by them. I mean, that sounds very simple, but of course, it's a process over time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you understand it because you're doing similar things yourself.
Oh, yeah. 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 What I do is pretty much the same, but different, of course, because there's different ways of doing the same thing.
But that's the joy of it. And the other thing I'm very interested in, not with any bad feelings, you know, I respect everyone's belief if they want to have it. But I knew quite early on in my life that I wouldn't live through all of it, but it's certainly in England, the breakdown of the doctrinal religions that do not teach the whole spiritual truth and hold people in power is already happening here. It's happening. Yeah. Churches are mostly empty now. And it's not that the original belief is wrong, because what they've done is they've distorted it. You know, the Christ consciousness and Buddha, they're beautiful, but they didn't want to start religions. I know they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't start a religion. They were teaching people that they could do what they do. Yeah. You know, they're no different. And everybody made them a guru.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it happens now, but I mean, Jesus wasn't like that. But I've met people in my life who become the guru because their ego is too big.
Yeah.
Then they become the one. And because a lot of my life I've demonstrated a gift which I've had for a long time, is that during healing meditation, sometimes I can manifest on my hands healing oil. It appears.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. Yeah. I have been to one of your work events, and there's this rock in a bowl that continues to produce oil.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, it started when I was young. Privately, they told me I would do this, and they said, you'll do it. And one day we might say to you, you know, you can still do your work, but there's a time where you don't have to do it. But the thing is, they gave me a memory of a past time. This is important. When I said, or they said, when you get this gift, under no circumstances become the great guru and as if you are above everybody, because it doesn't exist. It's a lie. And I kept to that. So when I first did it, it was amazing. I had a group of people and I just trusted it. I've always said it doesn't always happen, but I got the first person up. I show them there's nothing hidden. I take their hand, breathe, and the oil appears. and I can give oil to everybody, and it grows on their hands, and the perfume changes, and it's a sign that there is more out there. It's not, but I always say, you know, we're all equal. I'm not above you. We're all together.
Yeah.
We're part of the oneness, and that's the thing that I think is important, because some gurus with gifts make themselves the one, and everybody has to bow to them, and that's wrong.
Yeah, no, oh my God, I just share a story with you. One of the times I was in Glastonbury, and I was doing a lot of shows and doing a lot of interviews. And I was in this workshop, and somebody comes in, Tamara Oviatt, Tamara Oviatt. I freaked out. I left. And this has happened to me a couple times. I left the LA Expo. I left, I went and saw David Icke once in Orange County, and somebody recognized me. I took off. And then one night I was in Glastonbury having some drinks and dancing to the live music and stuff. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. out of this dream state. And I went live on Facebook. I'm not your guru. I started screaming at people. I'm not your guru. You are your guru.
Yeah.
Thank God I got up the next morning and I ended up putting it on one of a fan page that I haven't touched in years. Thank God it wasn't live at like 7 p.m.
I'll tell you a little story. The first time I did in public the meditation where the oil appeared, and it was lovely because I was able to counter it. There were, I mean, quite a lot of people. I can't remember now, maybe 40 or 50 people. Some of them immediately got on their knees.
Yeah.
And I said, get up. We're all equal. You don't get on your knees. It's in the consciousness. Get rid of it. Just enjoy the process. That's what we're here for. We're all magical.
Yeah. We're all magical.
It's interesting that some of them, there's only a few of them, it's almost programmed into them. You've got to get on your knees. And in fact, I went to a church school, only once a week you had to go to church, but every time you prayed, you had to get on your knees in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic church once and I was really confused.
Yeah.
I was kneeling, standing, sitting, kneeling, standing, and sitting. And I felt like I was doing aerobics or something. I had no clue. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah. But I think that what and the other thing, although I've stopped doing it now, I was guided to, over many years, I have used a crystal as a link and manifested sounds of the ley lines, the auras of the earth and people, and I use them in my work, and I still do, on Zoom I use them, and when I have live workshops, these sounds really speak to people because they come from the consciousness. Now, I've stopped doing that now because my lovely angelic friend said, you're a human being, you've got to look after your body. But I've got enough of them to work, and I'll pass them on when my time comes, that people can use them.
I'll take one.
You could take one. Of course you can. You could take several.
You did that with me. Actually, when I came to visit you, I was just so impressed with you. I wanted a private session. And you held the crystal to my heart and it started humming.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much our session. You were just holding the crystal to my heart. It was really incredible.
And I think, again, it shows there's more out there. But again, I've always made sure it doesn't become that elevates me. It's a way of helping people. And once the sounds are recorded, I can use them for all my life. I don't have to keep doing it. And even when I could, I only did the oil and the sound on rarer occasions just to get people together. I didn't do it in every workshop because that would not have been right.
Yeah, that's what it wasn't about. Now, I heard a story. Wesley told me this story that one time you were in France. Yeah. And you were with a group of people and you waved your hand over the land and a crystal came up through the land.
Well, actually, he's confusing two stories.
Okay.
I was given, I can't remember now, my late 20s, I was given that when I would go to Glastonbury, I always knew I'd come here, and that the story of the Knights of the Round Table and all the King Arthur story is based on a real spiritual group. It's been completely written out of all proportion. They weren't knights going out to have fights. That's not spiritual at all. But the Round Table represented a circle of light, and there were many of them. You're all equal, and that there was a crystal which eventually became known as Excalibur, the sword, but it was a crystal that had a very beautiful energy, and that if it was likely that I might be given it back to work with it. So a time came when a whole group of people who worked with me, we went to a place in Glastonbury, away from all the main roads, and I did all the meditations before we went, and we were ready. And as we sat there, some sounds appeared, and in front of everybody's eyes, and even I was taken aback. I've seen great things, but a hole appeared in the ground. It went very dark for a moment, then it went very light, and when that went away, there was a crystal sitting there. It was about this long, because apparently half of it has to stay in the earth, and if you put it together, it would have looked like a long sword blade. And I used the crystal in my work for many years to connect people to their real empowerment. Then I was asked not to use it for quite a while, and now I'm bringing it back into the work again. So it was a wonderful moment. And of course, I was also told in my meditation, be prepared for a lot of ridicule from people when they hear this story. You have to put up with it. That's how it is. Yeah. Ridicule and rumour. And yeah. I've had them, and oh, what a load of rubbish. But I don't mind. I don't get offended. People can say what they like. And Glastonbury is a rumour town. I'd only been here 4 weeks when the rumour went round that I had 5 wives.
That you what?
I had 5 women, wives, living with me. Completely made up.
That's funny. Woohoo! 5 wives. You go.
I learned not to worry. Don't get involved. Don't fight. Just let it be.
Yeah.
And it goes away then. But no, yeah. The crystal is a link with the crystal consciousness, but it's a link with all those histories. And I went to France because, again, I can't prove this, but I know that Jesus, Jeshua, as I call him, had a big group of people and lots of women and lots of people with the same name. But some of them went to France to perform an energy at a place and did it. And traveling in those days took a long time. I went to France just to take a group of people, and again some sounds came, and we got a beautiful energy from it. Because this is not about the Jesus of the church; it's about the consciousness of Christ teaching that we're all part of a soul family, and we all are one with each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what all the masters that have come in to teach have taught the same thing. I don't know how people get it so confused. I mean, they're not really listening. They're getting caught up in the propaganda, I guess, and the separation that is put out there.
Yeah, and also power, because in the 4th century, the Emperor Constantine made Christianity, after the Romans had persecuted, then he made it the official religion, but the official religion he made was the one they constructed, not what was really taught.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it became Jesus and the God and the Father and the Holy Ghost. The women weren't mentioned, but I know, I can't prove it, but I know at the time of Jeshua and people after that there were lots of women in the group. They all worked together.
Oh, yeah. Well, he married Mary Magdalene, my beliefs.
Well, I believe that too. There were lots of women. The male-female balance is important.
Yeah.
But the state made it male-dominated because that's what we've had to live with for a very long time.
I know, but it's shifting and balancing.
Oh, it's shifting dramatically now.
Yeah.
And it's good that it is. I'm so happy that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. I know we'll get there. And I know we're going into world peace.
Yeah, we are.
But we're still going through the black night of the soul. They're still trying to control us. And I know we'll get through it. Is there anything you can tell people on that, on how we're going to get through it, or what to do to help them calm their minds and not get caught up in everything that's going on?
It's very difficult. I think we've got to, because, even in the countries we live where we're supposed to have we have a lot of freedom compared to some, there's still a lot of stuff put into people's minds because the news is only the bad news and it's all about that. Yeah, where was we? Oh, yes, about the. Well, you see, I believe that, I understand why people are going through so much and it's hard, but I believe that the way, whatever way you do it, I believe the way to do this is what we talked about at the beginning, whether you do it by going to a group or working with other people doing the same thing or doing it on your own, is to find that which we all have, that beautiful light within that is still and peaceful. That's what meditation is about. It's not all about a belief system, but find it in the earth, find it in nature, because it's always there. The real nature of earth is absolutely beautiful. Always connect to it, and connect to the light within, and understand that you are beautiful and you are strong. You're going to go through difficult times. I do, we all do. But all this stuff that's going on in the world that makes it look dark, is a lot of it is really dark, but it's bad people behaving badly, whereas most people aren't bad.
No.
Connect to the good, and try to be optimistic, because we are going to come through. Because the difficult time we're having in now is part of the end of a cycle. I'm not saying it'll happen overnight, but a lot of people are going to be woken up by what's happened now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be much, much better. But I think my advice is to something that's age old. You know, meditation doesn't have to be sort of all magical and powerful. Simple tip: you sit down quietly, you breathe with the breath of earth, because that's the first step. You find the breath of earth, you breathe with it, because it's not just breath, it's interaction with nature. And then with that breath of earth, you just open yourself to nature, and you just focus on calmness. It might be a struggle at first, but if you do it every day, you will build it and it will become better. And I believe a meditation every day, even if it's only 15 minutes, it should be essential in your life.
Yeah, that's true. And I find myself having to make myself to sit down and meditate. I'm one of those people that usually meditate when I'm swimming or walking or painting.
That's all right. That works too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've been so busy, I haven't been doing it. So
yeah.
I've been being told, you need to meditate, you need to paint, you need to get in your office and sit down and turn everything off for 15 minutes. So I've really been working on that again, getting back in line with that.
Both. You can have the quiet meditation, and I'm the same as you. I go for a walk or I'm listening. I do that. I don't meditate all the time. I go for a walk. I enjoy the nature, but sometimes as I'm walking, I just feel the energy and walk with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to do the quiet one every day as well. You get better at it with practice.
Yeah.
And one little thing I would say, don't expect to solve everything, that all your life becomes pure and perfect, that nothing ever troubles you, because we're human. We have to deal with those things.
Yeah. Well, we have those programs. I mean, if we're completely and totally enlightened, how are we going to stay on Earth? I'm not saying that we have to hang on to negative programs, but there are Earth programs that we need to have to be here.
Yeah. Well, I think that, again, I know you do that in your work too, and part of the work I do with people is to get them to discern the patterns they don't need because they've been inflicted, and the patterns that they do need, even if they're difficult, can be used to progress with. They're not all bad, but get to heal away those that have just been planted in, education or parents or whatever, that you can heal them over time.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you're more free, but you don't become free of all troubles because the world's got things in it. You can't, that's part of what we do, but you can become much calmer than you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more calmer in my life now than I ever have been.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah.
Well, as I say, so as part of a joke, because I like humor. The spirit can be calming as long as you're not drinking it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah, and I know a lot of people get caught up in the spirituality aspect of it, and they're not here on planet Earth. They're not focusing on their life or anything. And so nothing happens in their life because they're so caught up in there, even though they're here to have an experience. Can you share something about that?
Well, I think I would totally go along with that. And this is why, even not just new people, I've been doing this for years, and some of them people have been coming to my group for so long. I mean, they're lovely, they're soul friends now. But don't matter how high I'm going to go, I never fail to start a group meditation without first going to the breath of earth, connecting to nature and earth and grounding. That's how I always begin and teach people that way. You get much higher that way, but you don't disappear into a fantasy.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Keep grounded. I think the trouble is some people go high not because they're high, but because they're trying to escape from the things of earth. They don't want them. They don't want the things in their life that they don't like. But you have to look at them and see what you can do about them.
Yeah. Yeah. I got some more understanding revelation of information over the last couple of weeks is, I'm always saying, well, rise above it.
Mm.
And I was doing this class. What class was it? Oh, I taught this class. It's called Heaven and Hell Akashic Records, right?
Mm.
And so I went into hell and I saw, the earth, and then heaven was above it, so it was separate. And then when I went into heaven, I saw heaven was coming into earth, and I was told, you don't rise above it, you bring it in.
Yeah.
So I was constantly telling people to rise above that. But again, there's another separation program.
Mm.
So it's really about anchoring in that light to whatever it is.
Yeah, well, you quote again something that has been recorded correctly in a way from just Jeshua, Jesus. The kingdom of heaven, and the queendom of heaven, of course, is within.
Yeah, it is all within.
Not
Absolutely.
out there, it's within, and within connects you to the wholeness that we're a part of.
Yeah. Well, hell is within too, and it's a separation program. It's self.
Hell is part created by ourselves and other people, but it's not a place you go to when you die. It's the situations that are. But you think of all those poor people indoctrinated over centuries by the church. When they first passed over into the spirit world for a little while, but they're not left in that state. Some of them probably thought they were in hell for a little while because they've been told they would go there. But it's not real, but they can be rescued from it. But it's a wicked thing to do to people.
Yeah. We worked on a lot of that because there's really no separation, and there's no separation of the level. It's all the same place. It's just wherever you put yourself.
Yeah. Well,
it's interesting, isn't it?
I have to tell you this because a little humour creeps into it. It happened to me in London. When I lived in London, I was working there too. And I had a hall in London, and it was a big healing group. And I found that somebody told me, and I thought, okay, outside there were a group of people, Christians called Christadelphans, and they're very fundamental. And they had placards saying, "Don't go in there. This person is from Satan," and And when I went, and I thought, oh well, fine. When I went out, one of them rushed up to me. Sometimes a remark comes out humorous that just comes out of your mind. You don't plan it. She came up to me and said, "You are going to hell when you die." And I said, yeah, but the burgers are good.
Yeah, my mom did an exorcism on me.
Wow.
Because I told her when I was studying theta healing, Satan, get out of my daughter's body.
I know, it's so sad, isn't it? But
it's so traumatized.
Yeah, but you got over it, and the thing is, you got through it. But luckily, most of my life I didn't have that, and it's not in this country now. That's not happening to most children. Extreme sects are doing it, like the Christadelphans. But most of the church is much more liberal, and they don't get many people going anyway.
No, they're empty unless they're more of a spiritual church.
Yeah. It's a shame that such a beautiful teaching was distorted, but people can still find the real truth in them.
Yeah.
It's always there.
I know. It's always there, and some people need it, so it's there and it's in service. But it's the separation thing that bothers me about all of it.
Yeah.
But we're going into religion. I don't know that I really want to do that so much.
Let's leave it behind, because basically in the end, the real light is triumphed. It's much bigger, and it's getting stronger, and it triumphs. And nobody, even when we die, we're looked after. We're not made to stick to the beliefs we had if we were very fundamental. We learn that we've got to look at the karma of it and not do it again.
Yeah, nothing to worry about, everybody.
No, there isn't. It's all lovely.
No, there shouldn't be any fear of death. Seriously.
It's real. We do live. Do you know something really that fascinated me? Because it's going to be stronger in the years to come.
I'm having a hard time hearing you again.
Oh, sorry. Is that better now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. This is fascinating because quantum physics, some scientists are beginning to say things that are quite spiritual, even though they wouldn't say it. Because quantum physics shows us that what we observe is not the whole thing. There's much more behind it. And it's a quantum physicist 2 years ago. He wrote a little article. I mean, he's probably sat upon by other scientists, but he wrote an article saying, can't remember his name now, but he said, every experiment we've done in quantum physics would indicate that every movement and every thought of every particle and every wave is in the quantum field of consciousness for all time, which includes every thought. That's a quantum physicist saying consciousness never dies.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I believe that quantum physics in a 2 or 3 generations will lead to the coming together of spirituality and science, and we will lose all that fundamentalism.
Yeah, sorry, your sound's going down again.
Well, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do about it, because it normally works. I mean, let's see if I can.
I mean, I can hear you. It's just really light. And I'm noticing people are like moving their heads into their computer to hear you better.
Yeah. Something's just appeared on my screen, which I don't want. I don't know what it is. Something's come up and got in the way. Oh, God. I don't know if I can close it. I'll just do that and close it. I'll come even closer then.
Oh, so much better. Thank you. I'm always sticking my head in the monitor.
No, normally my microphone works, and it was working earlier, but that's life for you. It happens, you know. You deal with it. You deal with it. It's a good example.
Exactly.
You don't get angry, you deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I can come closer. That's good now, is it?
Yeah, I can hear you really well now. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think this is an amazing time to live in, despite all the difficulties. I think we're on the edge of a revolution. It will take a long time, but it will bring the real spirituality to the surface. And even what's happening with this COVID thing in England, a lot of people are realizing that we need politicians up there that represent us for real. And they're beginning to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And that's a great sign.
Yeah, that is a really great sign.
It will take time, but we'll get there. I'm optimistic. But but also I think when there are all these troubles and people who behave badly, we don't say it's okay, but we still send healing in the hope that some of them will change.
Yeah.
Never give up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've always taught people that forgiveness isn't about saying to people that awful thing you did is okay. What you're really doing is you are forgiving them in your heart so that you can be free of them.
Yes.
You can't.
Yeah, because it doesn't do you any good. It's like hating somebody and drinking the poison.
Yeah. So
you're just harming yourself.
Exactly. So you're not forgiving, saying, "Oh, that's good what you did. It's okay." You're saying, "I will not be defeated by what you did." The forgiveness is you're out of my system. It might take time, but you don't allow it to take you over.
Yes.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the spiritual growth of the mind. And of course, some people go through terrible things and need a lot of help to get out of it, but that's what healing is about. It's there to help them.
Yeah, well, and I also believe there's no such thing as victims, and that they're having this experience to learn something or to teach something.
Yeah. And if there's enough help to get that, they'll come through it.
Yeah.
They will. And there's a lot more help than there used to be, which I think is lovely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're coming out. We're showing up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and with the internet and Zoom, it makes it so much easier to connect with people and to help people all over the world.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. I mean, I wasn't using it until, with the last year or so, but I'm looking forward to going back to being with groups, but I won't stop doing Zoom because I can't the people who come to my groups can't travel from all over the world. So I'm going to carry on with Zoom as well because it helps.
Yeah, it does help. Absolutely. I'll attend one of your day-long things, what you do on Zoom.
Yeah, happily.
Yeah. I've wanted to, but you've been in England and I haven't been. So, because I think you're really cool and I think everybody should experience your work. Some people are asking where you're at in London. He's actually right in Glastonbury, England, unless you moved.
Yeah. No, I'm still in Glastonbury. I lived in London until 1992. I always knew I'd come here because this is a sort of old spiritual home for me.
Oh my God, Glastonbury.
It's a place of two things, great spiritual power and also wonderful freedom of who you want to be,
Yeah.
how you dress, how you behave. I mean, good behavior. Nobody the tourists like to look at you and laugh, but actually, it doesn't matter here.
Oh my God. I just, I've spent probably a year and a half total, maybe 2 years total over the last 9 years in Glastonbury, England. And I
tell
just get there and I don't want to move. I just want to stay there,
I'll tell everybody a little story of not the spiritual side or even about the dress, but this really happened because I was there, and it's a typical Glastonbury thing, which anywhere else there would have been sad consequences. There used to be, I think she's passed on now, a lady who walked around Glastonbury, probably in her 60s, quite eccentric, in a little world of her own. Everybody loved her, but she was who she was. It was a very hot summer. I was in a cafe in Glastonbury with a couple of friends. She came into the cafe, took all her clothes off and ordered a coffee, and they just let her serve it and drink it. And then she put her clothes off and went home. If that had been in London, social services would have been called out, and that poor woman would have been dragged off for treatment. She didn't know what she was doing, but she didn't know what she was really doing, but she didn't harm anybody.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And she was safe, she was in the cafe. She got dressed in the cafe and went home.
Yeah. I absolutely love Glastonbury, the way people dress.
Yeah.
And everybody's so friendly. I mean, I was there for a while and everybody knew my name. I've never been in a town like that before. It was so nice.
It's lovely. And people will talk to you. And as you say, there's no dress code. You dress how you like. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It's wonderful. I love it for that.
Yeah, me too.
And it's a very powerful energy place as well.
Oh my God. Oh my God. The first time I walked through the Abbey, which was 2012, the Glastonbury Abbey, I was walking through there and I was hearing God tell me, or source energy tell me, you believe this, you believe this, you believe this, you believe this. And it was bombarding me with all these belief systems, silly belief systems I had. And I was going, oh my God, okay, can I clear it? No, not yet. And I walked around the whole Abbey and then I heard, okay, you can clear it now. And then just poof, it was all gone. It was wow,
Well, the thing is, the interesting thing, well, you know this too, most of the abbeys and churches in England were deliberately built on old pagan, real pagan spiritual sites when they took over.
Yeah.
So when you go there, you don't worry about what the church, you tune into that beautiful energy and it's wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those ley lines that run through the garden and the Abbey are just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Oh, someone said something. I always say I'm home when I arrive there. That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a place like that, and there are other places like it, and it's good because even if somebody visits here and sees it, you can often feel quite relieved and take that energy away with you.
Yeah.
And be with it, because the bigger cities tend to be a bit different, but they're changing. More and more people are beginning to change, so that's what matters.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Deb's just shared your website. It's your name.co.uk.
Something like that. Yes, www.tareth.co.uk. Very easy.
Okay. And when do you have a workshop coming up?
Well, I've got a Zoom on the 26th of this month. In order to get the link, I need people's email, though. It's the only way I can get the link to them, I think. But the first live workshop, unless the government change their mind, is on the 26th of September in Glastonbury. But obviously, I mean, it's too far for most people. They can't come all the way over for a workshop. But I am doing a Zoom. I do a Zoom once a month now now, and I'm not. My friend is technical. He hosts it because he's good. But the only way I know of getting the link to people at the moment is if they receive an email. But maybe there's another way I can get it put on the website. I'll ask.
Do you have a way to join your email list on your website?
Well, on my website there is an email address, so you can just send an email, and then I've got your mail.
Okay. All right, there you go.
It's a Gmail address, and it's on the website. Sending a mail means I've got your mail, and if you want to be on the Zoom, just say I want to be on the Zoom, and I'll put you in it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, you guys, Tareth is really, really amazing. He's real. He's really cool.
I'm not a robot.
You're what?
I'm not, well, I don't know if you had this. There were a few people, one or two people in Glastonbury I knew, and a couple other people who got in touch with me. They believed that the virus COVID was made deliberately because the vaccination contained mini robots that would take over the mind and they would control the world.
Yeah, I'm hearing that, and that's not true. And I was told it can affect you. They do not have the technology. No. And if you're forced to get a vaccine, just clear out the side effects.
It's not the technology isn't there.
No.
But one of my great friends who, I was having the back because I'm older, I did mine before his. I called him and said, I have had the vaccine. Exterminate.
But that's a belief system out there. Many people are
not the majority of people, but some people have really, really believed it.
I know. Well, it's another one of the separation programs.
Yeah.
And again, it's about to keep you in fear no matter what side you're on.
Yeah,
you've got to go get the vaccine because you're afraid you're going to die, or you're afraid you're going to die if you get the vaccine. So here's another separation program. And I believe, and the tragedy I'll pull up is 9/11. If you're supposed to be there and die, you're going to die. You know what I mean? If you weren't supposed to die, you're not going to die. So if you're supposed to die from corona, you will. You're supposed to die from the vaccine, you will. But if you're not supposed to die, you won't. Don't worry about it. Stop stressing out.
What they don't advertise that much, especially, I've got an old friend who's a retired virologist. He's a very spiritual scientist. He didn't admit it too much, but he knows all the business and he knows things. In Europe, America, in Europe and America, the death rate from COVID still hasn't gone over 1.2%, which is less than flu.
Yeah, I know. But if you read those statistics out there in the news, it's totally different.
They talk about India, but of course, look how terribly unnourished those poor people in India are. They've got a rich hierarchy with billions who've got a space program, and yet they leave people to starve on the street.
That's a lot around the world. America has a lot of that too. And again, there's a separation program in that.
Yeah.
Everybody
hold out the hope that those people will lose that power eventually.
Yeah.
I'm not
going to balance out, because everybody's worthy and nobody's better than anybody else. So balance it out.
Exactly. We're all equal. We're all part of a soul family. There's no hierarchies except the ones that people make up in order to put themselves in that position. Yeah,
they're in the little box and everybody holds them over their head.
Yeah, I like that. Good image. That. Yeah. Maybe we should do that right with our prime ministers and presidents. Put them in a little box and stick them up there and say, "We're not listening."
You work for us,
Yes.
There's millions of us, and there's one of you.
Yeah, they're there to serve, but they don't always acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's okay, because when we change our belief systems, they will no longer be able to control us.
Exactly. That's what.
So it can only control us and tell us what to do because we believe it.
Yeah, I think like I've always said to people in groups, because they sometimes say that there's so much in the world, and I say, look, if you took a candle into a very dark place and lit it, it's still better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
It all helps. You won't solve all of it, but do what you can. Yeah. That's what we do. That. Because some people think, well, if we can't solve everything, then what's the point? You solve it step at a time, and your own light grows because of what you're doing. And you're more at peace. So it's always worth it, I think.
Absolutely. And and no matter what we do and how we work on ourselves, we're affecting the whole world because we're all connected.
Yes, we are. It's all adding, isn't it? It's adding to the whole. And I think every little helps. Nobody can do everything, but we add to it. It goes into the future. It goes into the children, and they grow up with more awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I think you're really amazing. I look forward to really connecting with you again.
Yeah, I hope we can meet up in person again one of these days.
We will.
We'll do it.
We will do it. Yes, absolutely.
I think you're going to come to Glastonbury again. It's part of your home, isn't it?
Yeah, I miss it. I haven't been there in a couple of years.
No, but things are going to ease. It'll be possible.
Yeah.
And thank you for everybody to come. I've really enjoyed meeting you all in this way. It's lovely to be there. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Thank you so much.
Take care. Lots of love to you all. Bye-bye.
All right, you
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
You have Tara's website.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. You take care. I'm going to sign out now. And if you want to connect, just send me an email and I'll include you in the Zooms.
Okay.
Perfect.
Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, you guys. He's really cool, isn't he?
Yes, and so are you.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really amazing. He really is. He's really, really cool. Okay, you guys. So I'm going to put you in manifestation rooms. Oh, I forgot. I got news. We got our house keys yesterday. Yay. So during Mastering the Masters this weekend, they're knocking down these cement bed floors right now, right? We went in there yesterday and they've got to put tile in. We got to go pick up the tile after this and buy the paint and stuff. And then so they're going to paint and tile. And then on Saturday, no work's allowed because we got to get in there and clean. The house has been empty for 2 years. Clean so we can move in. And then they're moving us in on Sunday while I'm working. So I'm going to be here with like one desk. Everything's getting moved because we have to be out.
This
on
is
Sunday.
not the first time, Tamara. This is the second time you've done that, right?
What do you mean?
When you were in Florida, people were moving in, I think, when you were doing the class.
Oh, who knows? Probably. So yeah, I'm going to be moving this weekend during Master's class. I'm not going to be doing it, but I'll be in here teaching in my office. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm super excited. It's funny because I started doing my book. We're going to talk about the mastermind book next week. I went and printed it out. We'll work on it next week. But I went and printed it out and I started filling it out, and writing things in and paying myself for what I do all day. And my goal was get my house keys. Boom, house keys got next day, and then I said, move in by Sunday. Okay, we're going to do that. And escrow still hadn't closed. So I wrote down close escrow. We'll be able to sign the papers on Monday, but we at least got the keys because whatever. But it's like, here I am saying this stuff, but I'm not writing it down and putting it on paper. And as soon as I did, boom, and so I'm back into using my book. I made this up for you guys. And I am going to be committed to use it with you guys. So we'll go into that next week.